Good morning. I'm going to describe a successful campaign that we had in our community of Borrego Springs, California, to be designated as the second international, by the IDA, as the dark sky dark sky community designation. Let's put it that way. The only other city or community that has such is Flagstaff, Arizona, and of course, the differences are very great between Flagstaff and Borrego Springs. Borrego Springs does not have any large telescopes nearby. Flagstaff does. They have a U.S. Naval Observatory Station, a 60-inch astrographic camera, as well as the Lowell Observatory, which is where the planet Pluto was discovered. Notice I say planet Pluto. Clyde Tombaugh forever. Anyway, the fellow who started all of this was Galileo 400 years ago, and since then we've been building telescopes bigger and bigger and better. And then this is a picture of the night sky in America. Do we have the pointer here? Is there one of these little... Yes, here it is. Here it is. Got it. Oh, it's a safe green one. Okay. Borrego Springs is located right here, near 20 million people who live in Los Angeles and San Diego. And we are the closest dark sky and warm dark sky site for amateur astronomers to come to set up their telescopes and look at the night sky. So our designation is not based on any protection of very expensive astronomical resources, but based upon protecting the aesthetic and the beauty of the dark night sky so that it can be appreciated by amateurs who would come out to visit our resort community. Borrego Springs is located in southern San Diego County, in the eastern part of the county. Here is San Diego. And you'll notice there's a row of mountains out here. At the base of those mountains down in the desert, this is known as the Anza Borrego Desert, is the community of Borrego Springs. Nearby, 30 miles away, is Palomar Observatory. And of course, there are some large resources up there that need protection against the dark night sky. Now, this picture, it should be said, was taken on a moon full night, so that's why there's so much reflection off the dome. Another telescope up there, perhaps more important than the 200-inch, is the 48-inch Schmidt telescope. This is the telescope that really was bothered by increasing dark sky brightness, because it's a camera. It has no diaphragms to limit the part of the sky that it's looking at. It takes 6 square degrees of pictures at a time, and so it had become increasingly important to try to protect this site if we were to continue to use this telescope. In the 1980s, well, actually in Borrego Springs, we prepared our first community plan in 1980. And in that community plan, which was part of the county planning area, because we're not a city, we have no powers to pass ordinances or to control lighting. We rely upon the county of San Diego to essentially protect the different areas of the county depending upon their needs. We wrote into our community plan that we wanted to have the dark sky preserved for the benefit of people living there, and also because Borrego Springs is the headquarters of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. And the state park is a 640,000-acre reserve to protect this animal, the desert bighorn sheep, from extinction. And so we wanted no lights to bother either our friendly sheep here, who we see only on rare occasions, and also the astronomers who come down more commonly. Driving down into Borrego Springs, you look down and you say, where the hell is Borrego Springs? Just looks like desert. But in fact, if you fly over the top of it or you zoom in with Google, you'll see that here we are. We're a small set of subdivisions, 1 acre lots, third of an acre lot. We have a couple of golf courses, one there, one under construction there. You have to understand that in the middle of the desert where water is scarce, you always have golf courses. That's our daytime concern, okay? Our nighttime concern, however, well, this is beautiful downtown Borrego Springs. We call this High Street, I think, in this country. This is the middle of summer. There's nobody there. Beautiful views of the mountains that are Palomar is up in these mountains about 30 miles away from us. But in the springtime, 5 minutes, in the springtime we have a natural wildflower show that is quite spectacular. People come out from the city in order to photograph and to view the wildflowers in the desert. Now, these are not planted. People have accused us of doing this, but these are actually wildflowers that grow in the desert. They also come to look at the archaeological ruins of ancient Indian tribes, American Indian tribes, who lived in the area. Here you see some grinding stones. And recently an artist has put up large metal sculptures, which has attracted a lot of new visitors to come down to our community. But this is what we're trying to preserve, the dark night sky. Unlike some of the other photographs that emphasize the Milky Way, and I should point out, even in the most dark sky area, you don't see the Milky Way the way those photographs indicate, because they're time exposures. Your eye does not integrate for more than about 1/10 of a second, and as a result, you don't really see the Milky Way that bright. But you do see the sky like this. You do see this amount of stars. This is probably a 10 or maybe 15-second exposure by Dennis Mamana, who was one of the members of our committee. The dark sky can only be preserved if you essentially start a campaign to encourage the community to buy into the beauty of the dark night sky. And we have done that. We've done it because the state park has also done it. They have passed a dark sky overlay on the park, and they wanted the community to do the same thing. We had been doing it. We've been trying to do it, but San Diego County was a difficult nut to crack, so to speak, because every time the planners would come into the picture, they would require extra lighting, which we felt was extraneous. We chose this as our logo. This is the Small Dipper. Okay, you can see it up here. If you can see all 7 stars of the Small Dipper, it's a dark night sky. So it's a very simple thing in the Northern Hemisphere to tell you whether or not you're living in a dark sky community. We started out with public presentations. Scott Cardell from Palomar Observatory came down and gave some public presentations. It was sponsored by 2 NGOs, the Anza Borrego Desert Natural History Association and the Anza Borrego Foundation, which are sister organizations which help the state park get its message and its natural history out. You notice these beautiful lights, nice Spanish architecture, totally non-compliant as far as the sky is concerned. 2 or 3 100-watt bulbs shining all over the place. We also see here a sodium vapor light at one of the local filling stations. This is a private light on day and night. The street lights, we only have about 20 street lights in the city of Borrego, and they are compliant. They're full, flat, cut-off type of street lights. We had to fight with our local power company to change out this one, but you can see that changing it out for a much more conforming light has not, if anything, it's increased the illumination of this intersection. This is the one principal intersection in town. We essentially gathered letters of support from a number of organizations in our community, and we identified projects within our community where we wanted to change out the lights. They were not conforming, and so we chose these. This was part of the application process to show to the IDA that we had community support, we had political support, we also had projects where we could actually go out and make a difference and then show that and use that to teach people about the necessity of, I'm going to skip right through that. There was just a list of lights that were sent to the IDA to show them the way we had been approaching this. However, these ones that are circled are clear examples of non-conforming lights, and they were required by the County of San Diego Building Department because you have to have lights when people need to drive into their driveway. Because if they're drunk, they might, crash into the side of the building or something like that. But they glare at you when you are driving up. They're like this, nice little coach lights. They used to hang these on horse-drawn carriages back in the 1890s. And you can see the house next door also has the same type of stupid lights around the door and around the. We photoshopped those in just to point them out to you. Anyway, down-shielded decorative lights are now more or less, and we have been using our designation by the IDA as a dark sky community to give us additional clout with the county when the county fails to enforce their own dark sky ordinance. Enforcement is a very big issue in this whole field. It's nice to have an ordinance, and it's nice to have some sort of recognition that you don't want these kind of lights. But when somebody violates that, who do you go to? Who do you call? Well, in our country, you have to file a complaint against your neighbor in order to get the county to come out and change out the light, or to come out and give them a letter requesting them to change out the light. Your neighbors often don't like that. And, you know, we do live in the Wild West. Enough said. In any case, here are some of the members of the committee. I have them identified in the next slide. Dennis Mamana on the left, another astronomer. Sam Webb, he was very key in getting the organization to come together and to hold the public meetings. There's Scott Cardell from Palomar, Betsy Knock, Sally Terrio, Joan Malone. And we have capitalized on our designation. This year, our Desert Festival, which is at the end of October, is called Starry, Starry Night. And we are celebrating the fact, in fact, Kim is going to be coming to our community to give us the official plaque or whatever. We have a little parade. That empty street is filled up with marching bands and people walking their dogs and things of this sort. So we have a great time in October. Here's a picture of going down the street. There's some people on bicycles and marching and what have you. And you have all kinds that come out to Borrego Springs. I mean, we have a nice ecological car here. And we have, I think this is a Playboy bunny from Las Vegas that came down. But in any case, we have a beautiful community, and it is now protected, and we're very thankful for the efforts that in addition to our local committee, there were also big inputs from Kim herself and also from a couple of other people that I don't want to forget to mention. Christian Lungenbuhl from the U.S. Naval Observatory in Flagstaff also provided us with valuable information, and also a lighting engineer from San Diego, Paul Erickson, who basically interpreted some of the requests that we got from IDA for details about lighting so that we could go out and actually make those changes. Thank you.
So do we have any questions for James? Yes.
You may have said at the beginning of the presentation that I missed it. What's the population of Borrego Springs?
About 3,000 in the summer and about 5,000 in the winter. So it's what we call a snowbird flocking area. People from Canada, from the northern tier of the United States have second homes there. Yes?
How far away is the next community of any size from Borrego Springs?
About between 75 and 90 miles. See, we're surrounded by these hills which act as a natural barrier for the dark sky. But we do see San Diego on one horizon, Palm Springs on the other horizon, and so it has been a growing problem since 1980 when we first moved there. We've noticed this. And the thing is, as an amateur astronomer, or as a professional astronomer, I would dig out my amateur telescopes that I had, and I have a couple of 6-inch telescopes and a 10-inch telescope, and we would set them up and then invite the community to come around and look at the sky. And we had, for years, that was the way people appreciated the fact that we had dark skies. And then some of the larger organizations from San Diego and Riverside County have festivals where they bring in their telescopes and set them up as well. So it's... Yes?
Do the golf courses have lights that enable people to play golf in the evenings?
No, they don't. They don't.
Your golfers are happy with that?
Yes, they're very happy with that because we don't have that many of them. You never have a difficult time getting tee time on these golf courses. Some of them are private. So, for example, one of them that I showed you there, it's actually, the way you develop land in the desert is you build a golf course, and then you have lots and houses around them, around the golf course, okay? So the golf course comes first, and then that attracts people to build houses there. And so both of those that you saw, or the big round circles, were actually developments built around golf courses.
Are you saying the people are rich enough not to have to work?
We have a few workers. But remember, it's the park headquarters. So we have the park administrative staff, the rangers. There's a downtown shops, for example. We actually have like a supermarket. What else do we have? Well, we wouldn't call it a supermarket, but I mean a spar. The people get by with their pensions and what have you. It's largely a retirement community. Yes?
And what kind of resistance did you guys receive, for the all-important, oh my gosh, we need light at night, otherwise we're all going to get mugged?
Well, we haven't had a case of mugging in 20 years. People go to bed about 9 o'clock in the evening. In fact, we call it Borrego midnight. Okay, that's when everybody turns off all the lights, and we have a little sign we set up in the summertime on the going into San Diego, and it says, "Would the last person who leaves please turn out the lights?" So in the summertime, it's absolutely delightful. No, muggings don't occur because, where is the mugger going to go? I mean, he's 75 miles from the nearest town, okay? All right?
That wasn't a big issue.
No, not at all. And, we've had cars stolen, and they never left the county because we only have 4 roads. You get 4 highway patrol cars up there, and end of story, And we have also the usual helicopters and the stuff that you see on TV, the SWAT teams and all that. I can only remember them coming down one time, and that was for a murder. And that was a different situation.
That wasn't light related. James, thank you very much.
Yeah.